out to me. We come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. 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 In the name of love. Look at the person next to you. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Recognize the God in you. Feel the love and the unity. Feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice, repeat after me. We come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. 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 In the name of love, every walk of life, every creed and color, in kinship we unite, in honor of God and each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice, repeat after me. We come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. We come together. Come together. We come together. Come together. We come together. In the name of love.
All right. Oh, that's loud. I have to share my namaste joke.
Ha!
The mask on me protects the mask on you, or whatever. I'll let you work that one out. Did you see that on Facebook?
No.
No, I like that.
Check my page, Michael McMorrow. It's on there. Oh, excuse me. That's not the only thing that's on there. All right, so welcome everyone. Please help me welcome our assistant minister, Reverend Nancy Woods. And our band, we'll let Ken introduce everybody later. All right, we're going to start by taking a deep, conscious breath. And release. And just allow ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. Now, fundamental to this truth is a unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Reverend Nancy lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. The third candle we light for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the 8th candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the 9th candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light the 10th candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center, our online community, and within our own hearts. And as Reverend Nancy lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
There is one flame that burns in our hearts. There is one light that shines through our love. We light this flame with faith. This flame with faith. We find this light within our own soul. There is one flame, one light within.
So this morning, we honor that light within. So I invite each and every one of you to go within with me in thought and word and understanding, and recognize that this infinite intelligence that is in all of us is that which has created all that there is. The awareness and the understanding of this presence that we are honoring here today has offered us this opportunity to spend this time together, gaining in understanding and acceptance, and developing our faith to a greater level of expression, to embrace the idea that this energy, this presence, this life, this creator that is bringing forth everything that we are experiencing invites us to be in alignment with it, so the flow would be with ease and grace. So we understand and have faith that this is true as we allow the words and the thoughts and the expressions that come forth to be that which inspires, lifts up, and blesses all that is within that sound of our voice, and all those that are reaching for a greater expression of life. And we welcome this opportunity to be in your homes, in your life, in your experience. And know that this unity that we are sharing and understanding and expression brings forth a divine message, a glorious message, in which we are stepping into a greater willingness to be the truth of who and what we are. The divine presence in expression. And every word, every song, and everything that's presented reveals this in a greater light. And for this opportunity and for this event, we express our appreciation and acceptance as our love for ourselves and for each and every one of you flows into being with each activity. For this I accept. It's already so. For this I accept that the Lord is saying yes. For this I am aware that it is truth in expression. And together we acknowledge this understanding and awareness by saying, and so it is, and amen. Today I wanted to talk about love. Love, I'm talking about love from a place of that energy that is able to do all things, that energy that is coming forth into each and every activity to bring it into expression. And as I recognize this love, I'm looking at it from a place of when I allow it to flow into expression, I'm able to see everybody where they are and be okay with this. I am clearing my consciousness with this love to understand and appreciate that every being, everything in expression is the divine saying yes to life. And as I do this, I understand that my experience of it, my expression of it, and my willingness to allow it to be the basis for which I am perceiving things creates an atmosphere, not just for myself, but all those that I experience around me. And understand that this energy is the energy of life saying yes. And Ram Dass wrote in his book on compassion that compassion is about love and being able to appreciate each and every person from that place of love. And, it has been something that I have embraced a little bit more this week, because I find that when I go on television, news, or the internet, if I don't come from that place, I get a little irritated with some of the stuff that I see there. I find that the ideas that are presented, if they aren't in alignment with me, I sometimes want to fix or change the other person. When I know in actuality, Spirit is coming to each person from where they are, and they need to start where they are to move forward in life. And I believe that in my heart that everybody is on this path. And everybody is on a path that is theirs to live and to experience. And I want to understand this at such a level that I am able to stay within my center and stay in the loving no matter what experience I'm exposed to. I want to be able to perceive each and every person as being a divine expression of life. I want to be able to embrace everything from a place of being in my loving. And I recognize that this is mine to do. It is not about anybody else's. It is mine to do. And I feel like that's my whole purpose, my whole being, my whole expression of life right now is to stay in this loving, because I feel like being in this loving is the way I can help and lift anything around me. I have to say it's challenging sometimes, but I believe that it's possible. And I'm very grateful for my philosophical thinking, for the philosophy I follow, and for this wondrous teaching that says the spirit of life that comes forth into expression is the divine's presence in absolutely everybody. And it's my choice to see it. And I choose today to be willing to see that. I'm willing to know that and willing to live life from that perspective. And thank you for letting me share that.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to introduce Miss Eden Livingood, who's playing violin today. Very lucky to have her. Thank you. And Mr. Jason Goldstein on the keys back there. All right, Jason. Okay, here we go. 3, 4. The starry skies above, with light in my head and you in my arms. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I wish I was the brakeman hurtling on a fever train, crashing headlong to the heartland like a cannon in the rain, with the feeling of the sleepers and the burn of the coals, count the towns flashing by with the night that's full of soul, with light in my head and you in my arms. Yeah, yeah. All right. Oh, I know I will be loosened from these bonds that hold me fast, and these chains all around me, well, they will fall away at last. And on that grand and fateful day, I will take thee in my hands. I will ride that train, yes, I will be that fisherman, with light in my head and you in my arms. Yeah, 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 with light in my head and you in my arms. With light in my head and you in my arms. Yeah, oh, with light in my head. Thank you.
Nice violin playing there.
Thank you.
That was good.
If you'd have been a lead guitarist, you'd been doing
That was beautiful, Candy. Just
Great.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all guys keep amazing me how wonderful you are. So, just say the Declaration of Principles with me. We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal too and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe our faith operates upon a law of mind which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of life and the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the giveness of life to all.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. For you are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world.
Very nice. Thank you. So I see here on my printout that some of my slides are out of order, so we'll deal with it. So today is Happy July 5th, happy day after Independence Day. Happy, oh my God, I can't believe how many fireworks are going off in my neighborhood this year. I'm just glad there was no shrapnel. Some of them were like, set off all the car alarms, the whole bit. It's insane, man. The best we can do with COVID-19 is to do our own home backyard fireworks show. All right. So I wanted to, so we're talking this month to Unchained Spirituality. Again, these themes are put forth through Centers for Spiritual Living, which is the home organization for this religious science denomination, where we teach the science of mind and spirit. So, Unchained Spirituality is our theme for the month, and I wanted to start with a quote from Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman, who we visited at the beginning of the year when we were looking at the prophetic gospel. So, actually, I think that was all of last year we played around with that. So, he entitled this talk, Give Me the Strength to Be Free. Give me the strength to be free. And so, I like this so much, I changed the talk title from Free at Last to Give Me the Strength to Be Free. Because I think this is very appropriate for those who study the science of mind, for religious scientists, and for people of democratic societies. Often, to be free means the ability to deal with the realities of one's situation so as not to be overcome by them. Does that sound like anything that's going on right now? It is the manifestation of a quality of being and living that results not from understanding one's situation, but also from wisdom in dealing with it. It takes no strength to give up, to accept shackles of circumstance so that they become shackles of soul, to shrug the shoulders in bland acquiescence. Now, I like this on many levels, which I will go into as we get into the talk, but I would like to just speak to the July 4th holiday, because I've always loved celebrating the birthday of the United States, and that's what July 4th is considered. Even as a little kid, I had this realization that instead of living in the United States, I very well could be living in England or in Ireland if my parents had not decided to make their life here in America. Because my other 7 siblings were all born at the base hospital out at Edwards Air Force Base out past Lancaster. And it is a bit weird when you're a kid, it is a bit weird to hear the struggles of the colonists against the evil British when you know you secretly have a British passport as a kid. That also, in our house, we were very much aware of the troubles in Northern Ireland. For this was the time of Bernadette Devlin and H-Block and all that stuff, and Bloody Sunday, all those things were going on. And the weird arrogance of visiting relatives from England about the supremacy of all things English. Perhaps this mindset was imported along with African slaves so long ago. So we have this holiday that rightly celebrates the courage and conviction of men of property and wealth in the American colonies who were treated as second-class citizens, second-class colonials by British nobility. And nevertheless, they drafted and boldly signed their names to this document, betting all they had acquired up until that time in order to proclaim, as the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, that when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. And we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, we all know this. This is the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. And I don't know about you, but I had to memorize this in the 8th grade in order to pass the 8th grade. I don't know if they still have to do that or not. And with a closer look at history in the last 50 or 60 years, what we know today was that even then there was struggle around these guys who drafted this document. There was struggle around the issue of slavery. That we have always known that Jefferson and Washington were slaveholders, and even then, the lives of slaves were being dealt with a willful decision to pass on to the next generation the issue of slavery. So that years later at the Constitutional Convention, it becomes even, in a way, even more pernicious, as enslaved people were counted as 3/5 of a person in order to craft a compromise to bring forth out of this vision statement that ignored the question of slavery and then institutionalized it within our founding documents. We can't get away from that. And it's easy to argue that the United States was established on the backs of enslaved people of dark skin. That this was the law of the land until the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, which is like 80 years later, and even finally in Texas in 1865. It took 2 years to set those folks free, followed by Reconstruction. And what often happens in the political realm, that there was an overreach by the radical Republicans at the time, which is a completely different party than it is today, and the backlash of that, known as Jim Crow, with all of its symbols of the Confederacy, that for some reason we're even having a conversation about why they're wrong. Because it took the Civil Rights Act in '64, which took 100 years from the Emancipation Proclamation, to set that into place. Because after all, conveniently for those who lived in the North and the West, it was a unique Southern problem. So like Pontius Pilate, just wash our hands of it all. Now there have been leaders, Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and frankly, even the rappers NWA, trying to get the attention of the majority of Americans who happen to have white skin to address the inequalities inflicted on the descendants of enslaved people. So to acknowledge that Black Lives Matter seems to me is the least we can do. Because in spite of all this, our brothers and sisters of these descendants consider themselves American. And they are American. They are our oldest American families in many ways. So Reverend Sherry Quander, who used to be a staff minister here, is one of the oldest recorded enslaved families in the United States. Did you know this? I just learned this recently. So here we find ourselves stuck at home because of this crazy virus. And in our own little social media silos, we're being fed more BS, belief system, to fortify that which we already believe, which makes us become even more divided and less united. So what is there to do? What can be done? What is what is mine to do? What is mine to do? Now, we have two tools available to us as students of the science of mind and religious science, and as citizens of the United States. We have a vision for a country and a world, really, a world that works for everyone in the Declaration of Independence. And we have a spiritual practice that we can use to help not only call it forth, but to take the action to ensure that it is the reality for all peoples. To hold the space and to make real these truths that we know to be self-evident, that all men and women and people of all stripes are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So the spiritual practice that I'm speaking to is religious science, because Ernest Holmes said this, that the science of mind is intensely practical because it teaches us how to use the mind principle for definite purposes, such as helping those who are sick, impoverished, or unhappy. Now, we cannot give away something we haven't got. So the first step is to get our own mind thinking, our own sick thinking, where it needs to be healed, to first acknowledge that it may be there, and once we become aware of it, awareness builds consciousness, to allow it to be healed, to allow our thinking then to lift us out of impoverished ways of being where we are feeling victimized, so that ultimately that we can experience more happiness in life. Now, I have to point out that we really do not have a tradition of social justice within this teaching. We just don't have it, which means that we as individuals must heal our own notions around race and discrimination of all kinds. And we've done a pretty good job of that within our movement. And it is a focus of what we have been working on these last 4 or 5 years through marriage equality, and now and making not only a commitment to our movement as diverse, but also to make sure that people are of all stripes are included within our communities and at a leadership level. Because this is what we know. We know that our thinking creates our reality. And then we also know that it is our thinking together that creates a collective consciousness, which we call a race consciousness. That we together create this collective consciousness, whether it's in a marriage, within our families, within our schools, within our faith communities. Extend this on out to government and legal systems that hopefully have within them and exhibit a sense of justice and freedom for all of the citizenry. And so it is within this notion of freedom that religious science then has ample material. So often, give me the strength to be free. Coming back to Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman, if you remember, was an African-American man. Often to be free means the ability to deal with the realities of one's situation so as not to be overcome by them. So maybe we are feeling like we've just had this tsunami of jive that's hit us. It's been coming. The tide has been moving itself in for years. But now it feels like the wave may be cresting and overwhelming us. To be free means the ability to deal with the reality of our situation so as not to be overcome by them. It is a manifestation of a quality of being and living that results not only from understanding our situation, so it has to go from beyond just figuring it all out, but also to have the wisdom to deal with it. It goes on to say that it takes no strength to give up. It takes no strength to give up, to accept the shackles of circumstance. We don't have to put up with this. It can be different, so that they can become shackles of the soul, and to shrug the shoulders in bland acquiescence. So it's not enough to just say, oh, well, that's just the way it is. That's the way it's always been. Well, what we're seeing now is our young people have been hitting the streets to say, no, that's not going to fly anymore, because there's too much on the line. And if we can figure out this race thing, that will help us to get to we have some big stuff that has to be solved. We're on the edge of an extinction event if we don't get our act together. And there's only one way that this can come about, and that is in a shift of consciousness. Again, each within our own heart, accepting that which is ours to do, to shift it and to lift it into higher ways of seeing the world that look for ways to work together rather than stay apart. So Holmes spoke to freedom in bondage in his lesson, Power for Good, when he said, the world is deluded, blind, and shackled. And by what? By its own acceptance of negative thought. It lies bound in chains of its own forging. So yes, we look out there and we see these seemingly monumental problems going on out there, but we have created them. And if we have created them, we can uncreate them. We can choose to think in a different way. We can choose to think in a different way that raises all of us together. It lies bound by the chains of its own forging. Mind, which is our greatest gift, the gift of thought, is our greatest gift. Not only that, what we teach is that has a connection and in a relationship with the infinite mind of the divine. But when we misuse it, it can become our own jailer. And we whimper in misery entirely out of our own creation. That bondage exists nowhere in the universe except in the human mind. That freedom is ours at the precise moment we recognize our liberty and step forth in freedom. So if we really want to build a country that fully realizes the vision statement set forth in the Declaration of Independence, we are going to need to look for the ways that we are currently enslaved and being held in bondage by our own thinking. What is it? What is it about the conversation around policing that has me so riled up? What is it about addressing the possibility of having a biased attitude of being better than others, particularly people of color, that makes me so defensive that I can't even look at it? What is it in my own thinking that makes me feel victimized? What is it in my own thinking that makes me feel victimized? This is what Howard Thurman goes back to over and over and over again. And so does Ernest Holmes. What is it in my own thinking that makes me feel victimized? This stage one thinking, victim thinking, nothing can keep us bound more than victim thinking. And I did not say feeling bound, I said keeping us bound. For Abraham Lincoln said all the way back in 1858, familiarize with the chains of bondage, and you prepare your own limbs to wear them. So Ernest Holmes also said that bondage exists only in the human mind, that we can be free as soon as we recognize that there is no power to bind us but ourselves. So perhaps really what we need is to be set free, is to feel free enough to voice and then take action on that within which is longing to be set free. So I'm going to finish with this piece from Howard Thurman. The thought of being free, it's entitled "Give Me the Strength to Be Free" by Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman. The thought of being free comes upon us sometimes with such power that under its impact, we lose the meaning of what that thought implies. We're so familiar with the term, we don't even consider it anymore. Often being free means to be where we are, not at the moment, but rather to be relieved of a particular set of chores or responsibilities that are bearing heavily on our mind. To be surrounded by a careless rapture with no reminders of costs of any kind. Right? To just run away. Run away! To be on the open road with nothing overheard but the blue sky and whole days in which to roam. For many, being free means movement, change, and reordering. To be free may not mean any of these things. It may not involve a single change in a single circumstance. Or it may not extend beyond one's own gate, beyond the four walls in the midst of which all of one's working hours and endless nights are spent. It may mean no decrease from the old familiar routine and the perennial cares which have become one's persistent lot. Quite possibly your days mean the deepening of your rut, the increasing of your monotony, and the enlarging of the areas of our dullness. All of this and more may be true for you. Give me the strength to be free. Often to be free means the ability to deal with life, with the situations of one's life so as not to be overcome by them. It is the manifestation of a quality of being and living that results not only from understanding one's situation, but also from the wisdom of dealing with it. It takes no strength to give up, to accept shackles of circumstance so that they become shackles of the soul, to shrug the shoulders in bland acquiescence. This is easy, but do not congratulate yourself on having solved anything. In simple language, we have sold out, surrendered, given up. It takes strength to affirm the highest prerogative of our spirit. And we will find that if we do, a host of invisible angels will wing to our defense, and the glory of the living God will envelop us, envelop our surroundings, because in you, he has come into his own. Give me the strength to be free. And so on this Independence weekend, in this most crazy and chaotic situation for which we find ourselves in this Independence Day of 2020, we recognize and know that there is but one power, one presence, one source, one life of the divine expressing itself in, through, and as this manifest experience of life. That we step away from the chains and the bondage of human thought that have kept us bound, and instead step into a field of infinite possibilities for good that acknowledge and raise those, not only our own lives, but those around us. That we know that in knowing this good for others, we are enriching ourselves in ways seen and unseen. That the infinite abundance of the divine itself comes rushing in to our consciousness, into our heart. Our body expression of the body temple, the expression of our outer affairs are enriched right now by the living power, presence, and intelligence of the living God. That we step into our birthright. That we are strengthened and emboldened to be free, to experience liberty and not license, and to ensure this not only for ourselves, for others as well. And that's a good thing. And so it is.
Forgive me, Lord, please, those years that I ignored you. Oh, yeah. Forgive them, Lord, those that feel they can't afford you. Me, Lord, please, to rise above this dealing. Oh, yeah. And help me, Lord, please, to love you with more feeling. Oh, yeah. At both ends of the road, to the left and the right, above and below us, out and in, there's no place that you're not in. Oh, won't you hear me, Lord? At both ends of the road, to the left and the right, above and below us, out and in, there's no place that you're not here. Oh, won't you hear me, Lord? Won't you hear me, Lord?
I could have cut 10 minutes out of my talk and just let you do that song. Who wrote that?
That's a George Harrison song.
I thought it might be.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
All Things Must Pass album.
Oh,
So I'm doing
well,
a lot of
for
those.
our benefit, I might add. All right. So there are ways to contribute to continue to support our center. Many of you are familiar with those. So if you get to our website, you can find a donate button, which will take you to our PayPal portal, which looks like this. You can use your phone right now and swipe her up, and which will take you to here, and it will take you to our PayPal portal that looks like this. You can continue, and or you can find us over here in this little icon. This will also take you to PayPal, the PayPal portal that looks like this. And you can use the debit card to make your donation. If you have PayPal, you know how to use that. Or you can continue to mail in your donations. The easiest way, of course, is to use PayPal. To use your bill pay through your own bank. You just go on your bank, like I'm sure you're doing for all your other bills. Just write in CSLGH, and you can even do it as an automatic donation every month, every week, however you want to. You can set it up however you like, and then set it and forget it. All right, so now we'll go into our offering song while you take the opportunity to do that donation.
Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me, Spirit gives through us, Spirit receives through us, Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit gives through us. Spirit receives through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us.
So going within for just a moment longer, recognizing and knowing that the gifts presented here this morning, either throughout the week through automatic giving, or through mail-in donations, or through online donations, that all of it is a demonstration of consciousness that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. And so as we acknowledge these gifts of the given through the heart of the individual, we, representing the heart of this spiritual community, accept these gifts with deep love and respect, knowing together they go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless not only the vision and mission of this center and this online service, but to bless anyone connected to our center in any way, that we extend these tidings to our community of Granada Hills, our city and county of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools and the universities, including all those that are online, and for our planet as well, that we know that in some crazy cosmic way, the Spirit is in expression fully and completely, and we see it expressing in all ways, great and small. This lifts our heart. We feel a sense of awe and grace and power that propels us into ways of spiritual living that raise not only ourselves, but others as well. And that's a good thing. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. So let's thank our musician one more time at home there, Miss Eden Living Good. Thank you very much. Always like that name. I wish I had a name like Living Good. That's a great affirmation. And of course, Jason Goldstein, our music director, Ken, Francis, and Mike is working the cameras in the back, and Evan and the sound. So we so appreciate everyone who's in service here, and also our delightful Reverend Nancy Woods, who will now pray us out.
It is truly with a consciousness of appreciation that we express our thanks for this time and this energy and this whole experience of sharing the awareness of the infinite intelligence of life and how it is expressed and experienced in our life. To know that it is our support, our supplier, our creator. And what we are experiencing is the greatness of its presence in our life each and every day, each and every moment. And as we go forth from this experience, we go forth knowing that what needs to be heard and experienced is fully embodied in us, through us, and as us. And the awareness that the divine intelligence has said yes to life. And we do this with a consciousness of appreciation of the law of the universe that is constantly bringing forth that which we place in it. So we focus towards that love, that joy, that peace, and that harmony, and that power that is within each and every person. As we say together, and so it is, and so be it. Amen.
Please join us at home with the peace song. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as the power, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow to take